I was sharing before, I met Tony at the Raw Fest. It's a festival of raw food, health and consciousness that Leah, the lovely lady that is... Leah, give us a wave. Hi. Is organizing. It's the biggest festival in the UK about raw food. And I was there as MC, as we partnered together. And I met Tony. And you find like Tony with his, I remember you with your yellow t-shirt, with a happy face, with a smile, right? And you see Tony walking around the camp with this big smile, bright yellow t-shirt with a smile on top. Like, of course you need to connect with a person like this. It's like, of course you just need to. And the more we were talking, more I was realizing that we had a lot of things that we had in common. In particular, a shared vision of helping people go with them. And we had also a good conversation today on Facebook about that, right? How important it is to go with them. And more I was talking with Tony, more I realized that he's really steps ahead of me in the journey that I am. And I was learning so much from him. And I said, you know what? You just really need to share all your wisdom, all that you have inside with a member of our community. So now he's a best-selling author of A Path to Wisdom. I'm reading his book and his golden nuggets. Every time I read a page, something new opens up in me. I'm like, ah, that's why. Oh, yeah, okay, that's what I can do. It's really very practical book, because sometimes you read these books and you say, and so what? There is nothing practical. But yeah, every chapter is an exercise that you can really do. And then you can really apply to change. How many of you read this book so far here? 1, 2, 3, yeah. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, right? So without further ado, just came back, actually, where did you come back from?
Mexico.
From Mexico with Adam, right?
Yes,
yep.
That's right.
Like writing his new book. So without further ado, straight from Mexico, please guys, give a massive round of applause.
Thank you so much. Wasn't that an amazing introduction?
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing when each one of us in here, we do something to give back, to contribute? So without any further ado, first of all, I would like to start this talk with a big, big thank you. And I mean thank you. And thank everyone in here who actually traveled from different parts of London and UK to be here. And hopefully, by the end of this talk, it would be amazing for each one of you to live with something that can help you master one thing, which is the key of your own emotional intelligence. How many of you in here would like to learn something new today? And how many of you have been in situations where your emotions were aroused beyond control? And how many of you know how to manage your emotions? A few? Brilliant. So, tonight the talk, it's really about helping you. And I believe I have something in here. And you did not warn me. There's some spiders over here. Can you see the spider over there? Check, 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 check out. There's a cockroach over there. Look, 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 look. There's a cockroach. Really, honestly, there's a cockroach. What's over there? I think there's some little bugs over there. Can you check it? Really? You can, check it out. There's a... Who's... No, wait, wait. There's a spider crawling over there. Huge one! So, this is... What is this? Torch. And what do we do with torch?
Blind people.
What do we do? Blind Shine, people? Anything else we do with a torch? Shine the light. Thank you, guys. What I'm hoping tonight is shine some light. So each one of you can take that light and go within yourself and really understand how to truly tap into one thing that is the key to the success, the peace, the balance, the love, the relationship, the business, the life that you all want to have. So, what's your default emotion when those creepy creatures crawl in your bed, or in your nightmares, or in situations when those creepy creatures are actually your emotions? They crawl inside your consciousness, and you know there's something irritating you. You know there's something in there almost infesting your consciousness with things you do not want to have. How many of you here know what I'm talking about? Each of those insects are so many different emotions that since we were born started entering our own consciousness. At some point, we became used to them. And they start multiplying more and more and more and more until the moment comes in. Either you have a breakdown, either you end up with no money, either you have a relationship breakdown, or you have some kind of health challenge. And then we start to reflect. Or you meet somebody who simply might shine that light. And our first reaction is our ego. Because the ego is so used to those crawling creatures within ourselves that they become part of who we are. Something that truly steps inside of ourselves, step by step, crawling. Yet, we're not doing anything about it. Until the pain becomes so big that we collapse within. We all know that deep down, we are love. Agree? Yeah?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah! I love it. We all know it. Yet, very, very, very few people on our planet are truly embodying what love is. And very few people on our planet actually shine the light that love is. Today's post on Facebook came from a very person that basically claims to be a very good spiritual teacher. And I shined the mirror. It lasted about 5 minutes of conversation of ego until there was a stop. When she picked up the phone, called me and said, I am truly sorry. And I'm in tears. And no one has ever pulled this mirror to me. Who are you? And I said, how did you find my number? She said, easy. You intrigued me. You made me extremely curious, and I searched for you, and was all over your website. I said, brilliant. Now that we're sharing in that, I said, before we go any further, I would like you to truly embody that light within you that you've received right now. It's a gift. When somebody challenges us, it's the greatest gift you will get. Because behind that light, behind that baby we are all born, we have all of the shadows. And all of the puzzles, and all of those emotions which mask our own light. So through this talk tonight, through having your presence in here, it's about uncovering the puzzle behind emotional intelligence. You ready for that? Yeah. Yeah? Before we go any further, at the end of this talk, we're going to have about 30 minutes where you guys can ask me any questions. You can bring any problems you may have. And also we'll have some experiential exercises where I'm going to ask you guys to partner up and just really go into the reflection of what you're going to be learning in the next 60 minutes. So for any questions you may have, by all means, make your notes while I'm talking, and I hope you've come with some problems that you guys might want to have answers. But we're going to be really going and finding out which puzzle do you want to uncover from there to help you truly bring that light. Because while we are emotionally aroused, there's no light. It's only telling ourselves and fooling ourselves that we are light. And I mean that in every key area of your life. In your spiritual development, in your emotional development, in your financial development, in your relationships, as well as in business and career. In all of those areas, there's one of those that can be uncovered for you to truly shine your light. And when we shine our light, we do not need to control. We let go of the idea of the ego. And when the ego is satisfied, because you also need to nurture the ego remains in a dormant state and will serve you from a positive angle where, like Simone, myself, and each one of you in areas of your life where you like to thrive, you'll be contributing your life towards the global consciousness. So, my definition of emotional intelligence is to let your inner sparkle shine. You must go within. And each one of you must learn the emotional guiding system. So, how many of you heard about the term emotional guiding system? 3 people. Great. Well, I'm not sure about you, but actually I invented it myself. So, and the reason I did this is I used to work in technology sector. So, and in technology, I was involved with a project of creating the map info system, which nowadays is the basis for the GPRS you guys use every day. So I worked with a team of developers that they had to literally digitize every single map in UK. And that was a lot of hard job with those big machines, which I never understood what they did. But eventually, when we brought our whole programs together, it ended up we can use the satellites to actually navigate. So it's actually a navigation system. Most of you, maybe tonight, how many of you use GPRS to get here? Like, here we go, there's a few of you. So, brilliant, we did Farham. He drove as well here with GPRS. So, emotional guiding system, it is really your own GPRS. That GPRS came from within ourselves. Somebody invented, somebody thought, anyway, if I get lost in the middle of nowhere, how do I get to a destination where there's no map, there's no signs for the roads? And they came up bringing the satellite technology with taking pictures, digitizing, combining, synchronizing the two, and we created the GPRS. And I'm proud to say I was part of that project. So, emotional guidance system, I'm also part of that project. So when I actually started writing my book, I had to go all the way back to really understand emotions. Before I go any further with this, I would like you to share a story. Is that okay? Yeah? I'll share you a story about a little man. A little man who was born with his legs curved. He could not walk for 3 years. So he was a presented fear to his parents. And his parents lived in an area, there was no physiotherapy, there were no doctors, you can imagine. What would a parent do with a disabled child? Any of you parents in here? Few? Okay. So perhaps maybe you guys in here in London, you have doctors and you can go and seek for help. But I would like you to imagine for a second, you have a disabled child and you have no way out. You have to use yourself to help your own child. I don't have child. I'm not a father, but I'm a son of a parent. I can only imagine what's going on to the parent's consciousness when they try to help somebody which is truly unconditional connection and love. Many of you relate to that? Yeah? Raise your hands. I want to see hands up. Oh, you're not sleeping good. I'm here. So, his mother actually wrapped him up in a cot for 3 years to try to bring the legs together the way she knew. And eventually, after 3 years, observing the world and observing other children walking, you can imagine what was going on through this child's mind when observes every single child being able to walk and talk and socialize while he was in bed. So I would like you to imagine that for a second, what we would feel within ourselves to observe something like that. The pain, the emotions, the incapabilities, the jealousies, whatever it may be. A child can go through so many different traumas. So eventually, when he actually started walking, a few years down the line, he ended up in hospital unconscious with a severe illness that left him totally paralyzed in bed. With that paralysis, after 2 years, the doctors told his parents he cannot make it. He's got 1 week left to live. You can imagine what's going on through a child who's unconscious and parents losing a child. We see death every day. But when it comes to your own death, we have a very different connection and very different emotion. So his parent turned to healers, turned to psychics, turned to what now considered alternative medicine. 6 months down the line, he started getting better. His spirit came down, and within 2 years, working with these people, he realized there's so much more to life. And he became extremely curious how some people heal fast and other people don't. Why is it that some children experience disabilities and others don't? Why is it that people have conflict? Why is it that parents and adults argue with one another? So he developed deep curiosity how all of this works and what can he do to actually help these people. From there, he ended up in a war at the age of 17. A war he did not love, a war he actually despised. And he questioned, where is the free will? If all this world is about free will, and we tell ourselves we are born with free will, he could not understand how he ended up in a full-blown war that destroyed millions of people's lives. That landed him in the streets of London, where he lived for 3 months, then another 3 months, and eventually, after 6 months, he actually met some people who started to help him. 6 months on the street. Anybody of you lived on the streets? Okay? 6 months on the street. Actually, it teaches you quite a lot what emotions can do to ourselves. And also, what these emotions can do to others that observe the person who's experiencing those emotions. That led him to work almost 18 hours for 10 years, every single day, with no break. He worked 3 jobs, he educated himself, he went to university, graduated with top marks, and went to pursue a career which basically went into the technology world. Spent 12 years in the technology world, created an amazing success, and eventually he brought all of the wisdom and all of the knowledge together to help people globally on this planet. And ladies and gentlemen, the boy you've been listening to, it's me. that each one of you has the light that can shine so bright that the entire universe can see us. If we join together, if we go within ourselves, if we love one another, if we do not create the separations of the ego. And with that, it's what the emotional guiding system can help us do. So the learning today is truly about why emotional intelligence matters. I hope that I have inspired a spark in your hearts, sharing my personal story. To understand the 5 domains of emotional intelligence which you're going to be learning today, some of you may know about that. To also to use the TJ's evolution coaching method, which I've been coaching now thousands of clients and teaching many people, some of you are here, how you can integrate that within yourselves, which I'm writing in my book about the wisdom, and develop a 5-step emotional intelligent action plan for you to take home and really go within, because that's where the answers are. And then we're going to experience what you guys have learned through the talk in small groups, and I will direct you through a few exercises to really look at the emotional intelligence that we all have within ourselves, and the opportunity for you to actually, each one of you are here. I'm here for you guys tonight. I literally booked my night here. Whoever wants to ask anything you want to experience, I'm here. So I'm of service. So, emotions were the first to form within the brain. And they actually can be formed in each layer of our brain. Any of you know how many of those are? How many layers of our brain are? No one?
3.
3 layers of your brain. Perfect. So, it's quite interesting. I went to really did my research, and I've been doing and I've been learning for almost like 25 years now. And the interesting thing about it, it's our survival reptilian brain. It's exactly how I've drawn it in here. What's interesting is, the way I put it in red, it's really at our level of survival, which is all of our fears, everything to do with money, everything to do with job, anything to do with relationship with mother, anything to do with food, with home, everything else. It's part of our brain which literally will kick for us to survive. The problem is, most people get defaulted in the reptilian part of our brain when we get under threat, when we get challenged, when we get a person who literally will arouse our emotions. So next time you guys have any form of emotions going through your body, I would like you to visualize that. Because the next part is the emotional brain. So those fears, all of those things that are going in our head, will actually trigger an emotional response. When we trigger an emotional response, we lost our ability to be in the thinking brain, neocortex brain. The brain that actually is a visionary brain. The brain who actually can be synced with our heart and together create synchronicities and emit an energy which can help us become successful in all key areas of our lives. And also with that energy, being able to synchronize ourselves within the divine matrix of our universe. Because most of you know some people have it all. Anybody knows that? That some people just get it easy. Yeah? And other people have to struggle. So I went ahead and I said, why some people have to struggle? And why is it some people really, truly get it easy? I just became curious. So, anybody familiar with this picture? Yeah? Have you ever been in a situation where you meet people and you're not interested at all? Or you are at work and you fear what your colleagues might be saying, you might be going through a breakup, you might be not comfortable with, let's say, your presentation skills, let's say, you're given a project or anything like that, or let's say your mind is simply worrying about your children at home, how you're going to make money, where you're going to go on holiday, park, whatever it might be. Your brain is simply constantly busy, meaning there's a lot of noise. So, why does it matter? Why each one of you came here tonight? And the reason it matters, unless you truly know and get to know everything behind every single emotion that we can experience, there is no way you can recognize that in other people. So if you want to truly connect and honor the light that I was talking about earlier on, you must learn to tune your emotions, to fine-tune them, to create a balance. Because if you don't, you will get the mirror straight away. So you'll be living in the life of struggle. Whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's with your children, with your friends, with the world, we will always have something to fight for. So therefore, if we're going to be in that state of consciousness, and we are part of the consciousness, and I'm talking about, in my second and the third book I'm co-authoring with Adam, about the science behind the universe, the latest science, and how each one of us consciously contribute in the way we create our reality. So if we want to see a global peace, that peace needs to start with each one of you, with each one of us. And as we do that, we will radiate that. So, what is emotional intelligence? There have been many studies about emotional intelligence. Most likely, each one of you, in your own lives, know about emotional intelligence. Maybe not to perfection, maybe not to 100%. We all have a degree of emotional intelligence. So, audition to you from you to be yourself. What do I truly mean by that? For some of you who may have read my book, or some of you who came to my book launch, with the help of one of the best coaches in here, vocal coaches, I wrote a song which I channeled called Your Call for Love. And Anthony has helped me so much with my voice, as well as basically, we actually sang this song to everybody who came to my book launch. My book launch wasn't about a promotion, wasn't about to sell business, wasn't about to sell anything to anybody. It simply was my gratitude to 250 people who came in there for the journey. Some people have known me from the time when I was on the streets, to the one who I became extremely successful, to coming back on the streets, to going back successful. So those people have been in my life. One of these people is Nora. She's known me for how many years? 16 years? 16 years. So I start my life with gratitude. So audition to you, from you to be yourself, it's your call for love. It's your soul's call to each one of you when you're experiencing any form of disconnect, to get back to that love that we are, to get back to that light which is behind that puzzle. That sometimes we go through life trying to find that puzzle for each one of us. And we get lost in that puzzle. So, where did this term start? It started a long time ago with Mayer and Salveri, two amazing people, and their definition of emotional intelligence is to the process involved in the recognition, the use, the understanding, and the management of our own and other people's emotional state to solve emotional laden problems, and regulate our own behavior. So, this definition turned another man, which is Daniel Goleman, to come up with the whole concept of emotional intelligence. Many of you learned about Daniel Goleman? A few of you. So I'm bringing a whole new light on the dimensions that Daniel Goleman and the other psychologists have put into emotional intelligence. And for him, it's the aspect of our human intelligence that governs our ability and the capacity to recognize and understand, control, and use emotion in solving problems in our day-to-day life. So, according to Daniel Goleman, they actually split up emotional intelligence in 5 parts. The first part is the self-awareness. literally, self-awareness is about us going within ourselves and really looking at who am I? And looking at our own personal competencies, looking at our vision, looking at our values, looking at our life, basically, how we were born. Everything that has influenced us from the moment we are born, it really brings us back to our own self-awareness. And in that self-awareness, we can actually reflect quite a lot. And the more we do that, the more we travel, the more we meet amazing people, and also some people who challenge us, the more we can start doing this self-awareness. And the other part, what helps us with our own emotional intelligence, it's about the social competency. How many of you feel shy when they're in a social environment? Few. And how many of you are totally confident when they go into a social environment? Few. Brilliant. We have half and half. Brilliant. So that part of you, which is confident or shy, it's in this part, the awareness of others, where basically there's a whole load of information and analysis that happens within our consciousness when we are in the present another light being. But that self-awareness comes from our own ego and comes from all our thoughts and all our beliefs and comes from a busy mind and not from your hearts. So next time if you guys have problem with that, reflect what matters, and your heart matters. Your mind, of course it matters. But recent research, which we are writing in our third book, talks about a whole new brain in our heart that sends the signals to our brain. Whilst we spent a lot of the time thinking the brain was the first one. The second part, the